So, no, I wouldn't say I have a passion for HR.
Welcome back to Human Resources for the People. It's a human capital revolution. California Democrat Representative Barbara Lee weighed in last week in the California Senate debate. And here is the question that was asked.
Wage between $20 and $25 an hour. You're calling for a $50 an hour federal minimum wage. That's 7 times the current national minimum wage of $7.25 an hour. Can you explain how that would be economically sustainable for small businesses? You have 60 seconds.
Ms. Lee responded with,
First, let me say I owned and ran a small business for 11 years. I created hundreds of jobs, benefits, retirement benefits, also health care benefits. I know what worker productivity means, and that means that you have to make sure that your employees are taken care of and have a living wage. In the Bay Area, I believe it was the United Way, came out with a report that very recently, $127,000 for a family of 4 is just barely enough to get by. Another survey very recently, $104,000 for a family of 1, barely enough to get by. Low income because of the affordability crisis. And so just do the math. Just do the math. Of course, we have national minimum wages that we need to raise to a living wage. You're talking about $20, $25, fine. But I have got to be focused on what California needs and what the affordability factor is when we calculate this wage.
So let's give a little bit of background on Representative Barbara Lee, the history behind the minimum wage in the United States, and what we're looking at in potential repercussions if something like that were to go through. So Barbara Lee was actually born in El Paso, but eventually moved to California in 1960. Then she went to the Bay Area and attended Mills College. She did have a facilities-based cleaning service and probably a custodial service. Said it had about 500 people. I am curious if she was paying those people $50 a hour. Because the $50 mark is completely arbitrary. There is no definition for it. Then there's no reason why she shouldn't, right? So she cited the cost of living in the Bay Area, which is completely different from Mississippi or anywhere else like that. And she is running for the Senate, right? She is not, these things that she is proposing is not for California. These things she's proposing are for the nation. And that's important to understand the overall impact of these matters because, in this debate, she is running to represent California before the nation. Right now, she's running to replace the United States Senate seat held by Dianne Feinstein. She is still 4th in the polls right now, but her stance on minimum wage captured national attention. She had to defend it. And so let's be clear here, the federal minimum wage is 7.25. That increase happened on July 24th, 2009. And minimum wages have a question of constitutionality, but are generally accepted throughout the world. Australia started a minimum wage in 1907. Canada eventually passed one in the province of Manitoba in 1921. And surprisingly, for many people who are new to the channel, Germany introduced their first minimum wage legislation in 2015. So the minimum wage started out at 25 cents an hour in 1938. There's no reason why they didn't choose $50 an hour then, but they didn't. They chose 25 cents. And so, there are some concerns with minimum wage. For example, there can be job losses. The Congressional Budget Office in 2019 estimated that increasing the federal minimum wage to $15 per hour by 2025 could lead to a loss of 1.3 million jobs. In addition, the National Federation of Independent Businesses said that an increase in federal minimum wage would negatively impact their business operations, potentially leading to layoffs or closures. That was back in 2020. In addition, minimum wage hikes could exacerbate inflationary pressures. Analysis by the Federal Reserve Bank of San Francisco found that a 10% increase in the minimum wage could lead to 0.3 to 0.4 percentage point increase in overall inflation in the short term. Furthermore, negative impacts on teen employment. A study published in the Journal of Human Resources found that a 10% increase in the minimum wage was associated with a 2% decrease in teen employment. But I think while the 51 seems quite quite a bit. It seems quite high. I do somewhat support specific local minimum wages. For example, the situations in Oakland and so forth have gotten out of control, and I think that there's a world where that makes sense to increase it. However, these inflationary pressures might be exacerbated by the very thing that needs to be controlled. In addition, at this point, seven and a quarter, I don't know, maybe there are people who are still working on seven and a quarter, but I really don't think that a hike to say $10 or something like that would result in any job losses, because at this point it's already the wages have gone up so high that it would only impact a few people, in my opinion. But let me know what you think about this in the comments down below. Do you support increasing a minimum wage? If so, what should it be? Like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye, guys.